Hi, my name is Dean and I'm a filmmaker from Sydney, Australia. Today I'm going to give you a couple of tips that I have learned throughout the years of filming, because I've been filming for as long as I could hold one of those brick camcorders back in the day. Now, I'm no professional, but I have been filming for as long as I've been alive. So I'm just going to give you a couple of tips and tricks that I've learned throughout the years. I'll just give you 5 tips for now. They're in no particular order in terms of importance, but just for the video's sake. Okay, to start us off, we're going to talk about exposing for dark scenes. So if you're filming a scene where the subject is in darkness, you do not want to expose the camera dark to make dark scene, if that makes sense. What you want to do is fully light your subject's face and then darken everything in post. Now, the reason is cameras hate darkness. If you expose the camera dark, you're going to introduce so much noise and grain into your footage, especially when you're trying to brighten it back up in post-production. What I've discovered throughout the years is to do the opposite. So expose your camera correctly to the subject's face that is lit, and then if you want the rest darkened, do that in post. That way you're pretty much minimizing noise and grain. That actually brings us on to number 2, and that is to use manual settings in your camera whenever possible. There is somewhat a time and a place for the auto settings, but 99% of the time, you really want to be working in the manual settings. This will allow you to expose correctly, set up the shot in terms of exposure and that the way that you want it, and not rely on the camera's built-in auto settings. If you're struggling to understand how the manual settings work, there are a ton of videos out on YouTube. It's quite simple when you get your head around it completely. Learning how to operate the camera in the manual settings will give you 10 times better footage than relying on the auto settings. Number 3 is to shoot for the edit. And I know that not everybody likes to be an editor, but it is something that you should at least get accustomed to. If you're a filmmaker and you don't know the process of editing, or what happens in the process, I should say, you can just shoot a lot of good footage that's not usable in an edit. So you should learn editing. That way, when you are filming, you know how a shot needs to look to be cut into the edit. So shooting for the edit makes your life and the editor's life a hell of a lot easier in post. Number 4 is working with what you've got. That can be gear and your environment. For example, with the Saw video I made, this is the second attempt that I have done of filming this. The first one I did back when I was a teenager, and this was the direct sequel to that. Now, an advantage I had in the first one was I had a huge bathroom back in the day. And for this one, this bathroom is so narrow and so tight that I couldn't fit a whole camera in there. So I had to work with what I had in the environment and fake a few shots as if the camera was in the bathroom with me when actually it was actually set up on the outside of the bathroom shooting in, and with the framing it looked like it was still in bathroom. So you shouldn't not film if you don't have the proper camera that you want, or proper gear that you want, or the environment is not ideal for what you want to film. You need to adapt and work with what you have. And lastly, this is super important. People do not give a shit what camera you have, unless it is a specific video about a camera. For example, a short film filmed with said camera. That's when people care. But when you go to a movie, or say you went and seen Jurassic Park in the cinemas, nobody is going, oh, they shot that on a Blackmagic camera. No one cares. What people care about is the story you're trying to tell. Stop fantasizing and worrying about gear specs, and worry about crafting interesting stories and characters. Trying to capture a story, so make sure the story is good. Look, I'm no professional, as I said. I'm still trying to figure this out like you guys, but these things are constant things that keep coming up in every short film I make. Mastering some of these is far more important to becoming a better filmmaker.